bit about the 31st Alabama Infantry Regiment. Um, but before we get into that, make sure you guys hit the like button and subscribe to my channel as well. And once you guys do subscribe to my channel, make sure that you guys hit that notification bell so you guys can receive information of when new videos are being released. And once again, thank you for all the support that is came through my channel, as well as every comment that I've recently had an opportunity to read. But with that being said, we're going to go ahead and dive into this session today on the 31st Alabama Infantry. And then after this video, we're going to dive into my Civil War summary report of places that I've already visited. So let's go ahead and begin. So the 31st Alabama Infantry Regiment was organized in Talladega, Alabama in April 1862. And it soon moved to Tennessee. It recruited its men in the counties of Cherokee, Shelby, Talladega, Rudolph, Montgomery, and Calhoun. The regiment took part in the fight at Cumberland Gap, as well as Tazewar, but was not engaged when it moved into Kentucky, ordered to Mississippi, and assigned to General Tracy's Brigade, Department of Mississippi, in East Louisiana. It fought at Chickasaw Bayou, Fort Gibson, Champions Hill, and then was captured after the long siege of Vicksburg. Exchange reorganized the unit, was brigaded under General Petty, and participated in many battles of the Army of Tennessee from Chattanooga to Bentonville. It was organized with over 1,000 men and had 260 effectives in January 1863 and lost 21 killed, or had 21 killed and 37 wounded at Vicksburg. The unit reported 23 casualties at Chattanooga in December 1863. There were 452 present with 323 armed. Only 180 were fit for duty in January 1865, and less than 100 surrendered in April. The 31st was commanded by Colonel Daniel R. Hudley, Lieutenant Colonel Thomas M. Arrington, and Major George W. Madison. So that's a little bit of how the regiment was formed and how it became a unit and was used as a unit to battle against the Union during the Civil War. Now, let's go into a little bit more of like what their battle flag consists of. So their battle flag is actually very fascinating. It was styled after the first national flag of the Confederate States of America. The canteen contains 13 stars, a cross, and an inscription, God in our native land, in letters 2.375 high. One of the center stripe, the center stripe appears the inscription 31st Alabama in letters 4.5 high. The flag was eventually captured by Private Albert G. Tussler of Company G, 17th Ohio, Iowa Volunteer Infantry at Champion Hill, Mississippi on May 24, 1862. The flag is in the possession of the state of Ohio and part of their flag first edition program. So that is actually pretty cool that they still have the flag today. And I'm not sure, I know that it was stating that it was in Ohio, or Iowa, but maybe eventually that it will be returned to the state of Alabama, and then maybe they can put it into one of their museums that they have out there, because, you know, that's a big piece of Alabama history. Now, let's dive into a little bit more of the battles that these men were actually engaged in during their time of battling the Union. Now, the first one is Chickasaw Bayou. December 1862 to January 1863. This was actually a Confederate win. On December 26, 1862, three-unit divisions under Major General William T. Sherman disembarked at Johnson's plantation on the Yaxo River to approach the Vicksburg defenses from the northeast, while a force landed further upstream on the 27th. On the 27th, the Federals pushed their line forward through the swamps toward Walnut Hill, which were strongly defended. On the 28th, several flotilla attempts were made to get around these defenses. On December 29th, Sherman ordered a frontline assault, which was repulsed with heavy casualties. Sherman then withdrew. This Confederate victory frustrated Grant's attempt to take Vicksburg by direct approach. Now you can go into the Battle of Lookout Mountain. If you guys are not familiar, Lookout Mountain is actually in the Chattanooga area. This battle occurred on November 24th, 1863. This was actually a Union victory. At 8:30 on the 24th, with General John W. Greaves' defense of the 12th Corps in the lead, Hooker's men crossed the creek and formed a line of battle up the slope of Lookout Mountain. With a heavy fog screening their movement, Gary's men swept up the valley, capturing an entire Confederate picket post without firing a shot. At the Craven's house, the Mississippi Brigade of General Edward Walton tried to resist the Union tide, but to no avail. While Colonel David Ireland's New York Brigade pressed Walton's front, Colonel George Chauvin's Pennsylvanians were delivering a withering flanking fire from the upper portion of the slope. General John C. Moore's Confederate Brigade made a counterattack around 1 p.m., only to be skirmished by the same crossfire that had complied Walton's withdrawal by 2 p.m. The battle among the clouds was over. That night, Bragg had held a council with his generals and decided to withdraw from Lookout Mountain to reinforce Missionary Ridge, giving Grant the second victory of the fight for Chattanooga. So Missionary Ridge was yet another Union victory in the city of Chattanooga. They also won at Orchid Knob. Those are a couple other battles surrounding the Lookout Mountain area. Now, Chickamauga battlefield is kind of connected with Lookout Mountain, so if you guys are not familiar with the Battle of Chickamauga, check out my video on that as well. I went there twice and did 2 different videos. So make sure you guys check that video out. Make sure you guys hit the like button, subscribe to my channel as well. And post any comments that you may have about that battlefield. I'll be more than happy to provide you guys with any information or any insight. But let's dive back into a couple more battles that the 31st was actually involved in when they were with the Army of Tennessee. And this is actually Fort Gibson, which occurred on May 1st, 1863, which was a Union victory. Despite the reinforcements, Greene was still heavily outnumbered, and at around 10 a.m., his line collapsed. As Greene's men scrambled to the rear, Brigadier General John Bowen and overall Confederate command on the field worked feverishly to restore his line. The brigade of Brigadier General William Baldwin, just arriving from Vicksburg, and Colonel Francis Cockrell from Grand Gulf were placed into position beside the river or the road at White and Irwin's branches at Willow Creek, a mile and a half east of Methodian Church. The Confederate right did not last long. The Union troops pushed forward all along the line, and fierce fighting continued throughout the aftermath. And despite Confederate counterattack by Cockrell's Missourians were repulsed, and afternoon, and Bowen ordered a retreat. The remaining garrison at Grand Gulf was evacuated the next day. The Battle of Fort Gibson was a resounding Union victory that secured Grant beachhead east of the Mississippi River and cleared the way to the Southern Railroad supplying Vicksburg. And then after this, you kind of can go in there and you can kind of see that Fort Gibson also led kind of to the Battle of Vicksburg, which occurred on May 18th through July 4th, 1863. So it was a pretty long battle. The Vicksburg campaign began in 1862 and ended with the Confederate surrender on July 4th, 1863. With the loss of Confederate General John C. Timberry's army after the siege at Vicksburg and the Union victory at Fort Hudson 5 days later, the Union controlled the entire Mississippi River, and the Confederacy was split in half. Grant's victory led to his continued command in East Tennessee and his eventual appointment as General-in-Chief of the Union Army. And then you have Champion Hill on May 16, 1863, which was a Union victory. On May 16, 1863, moving west, following their capture and destruction of Jackson, Mississippi, Major General Grant, advancing Union Corps, met Confederates under General John C. Timberry in a gear struggling roughly halfway between Jackson and Vicksburg. Gibson had both his divisions on high ground in a 3-mile line covering the roads from the south and the east. Unexpectedly, Grant's men moved west along an undefended road and met Sherman's men at Champion Hill. Outflanked, stretched his line to hold back the Yankees, soon advancing across his front. So that was yet again another Union victory. But this time it wasn't Sherman that led the Union to a victory here. It was actually General Grant. So that's actually pretty cool. Businessville occurred on March 19th through the 21st, 1865, which yet again was another Union victory. In the aftermath of the Battle of Asbar, William T. Sherman continued his march through the Carolinas, destroying railroads and disrupting supply lines on his way to join Lieutenant General Grant's army near Petersburg and Richmond. On March 19th, as the respective federal wings approached Goldsboro, North Carolina, Major General Henry W. Slocum's wing encountered Johnston's Hedgehog army. Johnston's forces concentrated at Bentonville with the hope of falling upon Slocum's wing before the federal wing of Major General Oliver O. Howard could come to Slocum's support. So yet again, that was yet another Union victory. As you guys can see, the 31st Alabama Regiment was in a lot of different battles with the Union. They did have some ups and they did have some downs. Now, they were also involved in a couple of battles during the Atlanta campaign. One of them in particular is the video that I did when I first started doing filming was at the Gillian Church. So from that point, that was another Union victory. But at the Gillian Church, that's how I became friends with one of my subscribers, Jenny, who reached out to me and let me know that one of her third great grandfather, Mr. James Kendrick, was actually captured by Union soldiers at this location and later was imprisoned at one of the Confederate prisons that the Union had. That's always pretty cool to have people reach out to you and share their story and even give you insight of maybe their family history or how they're connected with the Civil War. That's pretty cool. I always want to try to communicate with people the best that I can to provide them the best information that I can. And I think, you know, the things that I do, like the next video is going to show you my quick summary of places that I went to, gives you a little bit more insight on the battle and how they all accumulated and how they all turned out from each side, no matter if it was a Confederate win or a Union win. But um, you know, I'm very excited for the sites that I went to, um, and you know, looking back at it now, my time filming out there in Lookout Mountain, it's actually pretty cool to know that the 31st Alabama Infantry was actually out there, and I know somebody that actually has family ties, you know, with that regiment. So it's always fascinating to learn not only the history of the war, but some of your subscribers' history and their family history. But with that being said, I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. Make sure you guys hit the like button, subscribe to my channel, and I love you guys.